start off on the defense and get themselves busy, because looking back at their game against down 1 Kia, they were a little bit outclassed. They were outgunned, outmatched, and I think a way of being able to get disruptive on the defense is a good way to keep CAG guessing and try and find the weakness in that team.
Absolutely. I'm fascinated by this one because we've got a team in Reject that have lost the first couple of games, but not lost them by a great deal, and they've put up a reasonable performance. Down 1 Kia did outclass them a little bit despite the scoreline, but overall, I think, Reject have been there or thereabouts, and I feel like there's a win in them. Is that going to come today against CYCLOPS? Probably not. I think CYCLOPS, having got that first win of the stage, they're going to be riding on a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum coming in. Now then, not too unusual if everybody at home is... Not too unusual. Way! That's 2 if we're keeping a count.
And the game's not even started yet, Tim.
If you're looking at that at home and thinking, a knockban a little bit weird, it's not too unusual for Bank. There's the little play down the garage ramp and silently in through the back. You don't need to take the default cam out because it's the knock, and it can be a little bit of a backstab play. So we do see quite a lot of knockbans on Bank, as she can be very, very effective. Hibana, the hatch queen, going to be taken away. Those hatches down into basement, obviously super important. Ella and Kaid. I think Ella is a little bit of a nod maybe towards the old style Blue Stairs hold, trying to avoid that, having the Ella shotgun on there with the Guzmot mines, just trying to make life difficult to get down and to establish attacking sides inside a server.
Oh, Tim. The team backgrounds. We've got 2 being represented
team
today.
Backgrounds.
We've got Secret,
Absolutely
we've got Na'Vi.
Love them. I think it's, and obviously there's, we've had the Charms previously. I love bringing in those team backgrounds.
Absolutely. Monty being picked up by Anaton potentially here in the repick. Surprising absolutely no one. For those who don't know, I say it every single week, it feels like, in the Japanese league, we saw about a 30% ban rate against Monty. I'm pretty sure that's higher than what you get in ranked, and a lot of that comes from Anaton. I think anyone who watched the Mexico Major will remember him and his Monty drop shot pistol kills. The dude's an absolute demon, not just with pistols, but with shield ops themselves, so I'm not all surprised to see that potentially being picked out here. But we are going to kick things off inside of open area, Tim, so no surprises at all. Reject are setting up on the top floor.
Yeah, that's what we would expect from them. They're going to try to hold on to this area for as long as they can do. They don't want to give away too many lives up there if they can avoid it. But as you can see, there's a lot of destructible flooring inside a stock, inside a janitor. Can all be ripped up. It looks directly down into the site. You've got the hatches there. Popular plant spot, of course, being the bottom right of your screen there. Bottom left as we just scroll around our view. Left corner, there's a hatch directly above that. And you just drop down through it. And that's where the diffuser goes down. So they're going to try to hold on to stock for as long as possible, and that's going to be supported by the men inside a janitor as well.
We're very used to seeing Castle being brought on this site as well. Here mainly to lock down the double doorway that leads up towards Square inside of the site. Somewhat looking to prevent or deny the rush that we sometimes see teams do. You'll get into electric and just go for a fire on through, blast the wall open and charge in. Obviously no opportunity for that as there is no sledge on side, but the opening kill coming in against Candy. Irrgator starting things off on the Zofia.
Great start for CYCLOPS, and this is a position really that Reject don't want to find themselves in, and that's going to be CYCLOPS getting on top of them in terms of the entry game, because they've already got their work cut out for them, let alone having to play short-handed. Nitro potentially going to make an appearance here, but it will not successfully connect. Take is going to find himself one onto Gatorada. That's going to level us out at 4v4, and interestingly, that's the thermite down, Des. That's going to be the hard breach capability removed. Sometimes trying to breach that wall from Square Skylight through into cafeteria can be a big part of these pushes.
Yeah, about 90 seconds in as well, and it feels like CYCLOPS have done the right thing here. They've got the top floor control they were looking for. They've had Square, they've had the windows, they've had pressure coming into Janitor. 2 players from Reject both dropping away. Means, okay, now we can put our focus on the vertical. As you can see, the Buck starting on. Blackray with that LMG, finding windows, so down goes the castle. Irgate is down elsewhere, but Blackray's going a little bit mental inside of Archives and putting that LMG to good use. Tadaniki now trying to flank his way up, but no, forgets about the fact there's 2 others staring at at him. One through the breach, one inside of Archives, and Cyclops with what looks like a very comfortable first round closeout.
It was comfortable, Des, and I say that on the basis that they didn't even get themselves into sight. They didn't need to.
No.
They found the kills around the map. They didn't need to get full control. Cyclops certainly coming in, not only dominating there, but dictating the pace of things as well, really in the driving seat. So a little worrisome first round for Reject there, as it could well be a little bit foreboding for the future of this map if things continue in that sense. Reject, they need to figure out how to slow Cyclops down. I was just going to say maybe some traps, Des. We've got the Legion on the lineup. Take just bringing the Legion along. We've got the Malusi on the lineup from Taranaki. They just need to now force Cyclops to play into that utility. Don't give them kills around the map away from it.
I'm more surprised by the site choice, to be totally honest with you, Tim. Like, this is normally the fourth site choice on this map. You'll often see basement being the go-to. You'll see top floor. Open area and staff, I'd argue, is the most popular site on this map. Teller's Archives always falls really far down the list, but Reject may be in trying to keep things a bit mixed up here. Of course, not all that effective with the Taka repick in. You can see a couple of changes coming in for Cyclops, bringing along the sledge as they've clocked. Okay, actually, extra vertical destruction is definitely preferable here. They've got themselves a lineup ready and good to go to deal with this site now that they've droned it out.
Black Ray just hammering bullets in through there. He knows there's one inside. There's going to be chip damage taken on the side of Taka, and you just wonder, do you need to keep peeking that Taka? They're not likely to just rush in through there at the moment, and all you've done is cost yourself 30 HP. You've dealt none back in return, and it is not an ideal start for Reject. Not the end of the world, not the end of the round, not by far, but Cyclops just getting themselves off to a smooth start there. They're going to be trying to take over the top floor once again. It's going to be very similar to the attack that we saw last time around, where we had the book of Suzuki just getting in above and opening up those verticals inside of CEO. It's going to be even more important this time around because, of course, the site is now directly underneath those rooms as well, so a lot of vertical angles can be used. And the reason that attackers try to get those vertical angles, it's not always necessarily to get kills. If you get one, yeah, it's a great bonus. What you're looking to do is force the defenders out of those comfort positions that they've set themselves up in. Anaton, he's going to force Taranaki out of comfort as he manages to get the kill on the Malusi. That leaves us 5 versus 4 at the halfway mark.
Yeah, and CAG are being quite passive in angles they're holding here. You've got 2 coming in from the east side and 3 now starting to work on the lobby side of things. They know there are players playing upstairs, but from what we've seen so far at least, they don't seem all that invested in trying to clear out the top floor here. They feel they can do enough by getting lobby side control, opening up the wall, and looking to go for a plant from there. Black Ray almost finding his man in behind the bar, or behind the desk even. Just manages just about to get away. Window there, down to about 70 HP. Not the end of the world, as you say, but still not ideal as they've conceded more ground to the side of Cyclops.
That's it, they're just slowly conceding ground, they're conceding damage, they're conceding lives. There's, as Anaton gets himself another, that's going to be a kill onto Salty now, leaving us in a 5 versus 3. Cyclops going very well at the minute, starting to use that hard breach utility to open up the lines of sight, and believe me, things are going to get more and more difficult for Reject here. As Suzuki just walks on in, Des, he walks on in and finds himself one. Ayagator, another. Gatorada planting. This could well be a flawless round, and that's exactly where it goes. Anaton shuts it down, and Cyclops, boy, oh boy, do they look good in the first 2 rounds.
They do. That second round especially, just again, not worrying about fighting over every inch of ground on this map. Forget about the top floor. We don't care about your castle setup that's protecting White Corridor. We're just going to go direct to site, kill out the players that are in our way, and march on through. Anaton, especially those 2 opening kills as well, really making a lot of space and thinning out the defensive lines of Reject. 1 more kill on site, a plank coming from Gatorada. It's all too easy for the side of Cyclops. So for Reject, honestly, they're trying to play this extended whole game, right? They are playing upstairs. They are trying to draw Cyclops into gunfights around the map that isn't on the site. Probably because they acknowledge we can't deal with the Cyclops execute, but they're just being a little bit too static. And Fresh spoke about this on the desk. They can't play this static game. Bank is a huge map. Let's see them get out in it more, be aggressive, be willing to challenge, for example, because right now, it's all the Cyclops show.
Well, I think the other problem with that that strategy, Des, is whilst, yes, they don't want to deal with a Cyclops execute, they're playing against a Cyclops side which are actually very good in the entry battles and very good at winning the gunfights. So you're just setting yourself up for a difficult day. It was going to be, it's sort of pick your poison, isn't it, really? You know, you either go up against the Cyclops executes, it's not going to be easy, or you try and catch them on the roam and try and beat them in the entry game. Guess what? It's not going to be easy. And Cyclops right now are proving that there is no good choice for Reject to make here. And Reject, they're going to have to make something happen. There is nothing going to be given to them inside of this one. And we're going to be in open area once again. Reject deciding to try and see if they can get a little bit more going here. Basically, they need to keep themselves alive for longer.
Yeah, the big change, well, not really a big change, it's quite a small one that Cyclops have made here, is they are bringing along the Twitch instead of the DKB. They brought that in round one, but Anaton here has stepped across. He does love his DMRs, loves playing on the MK14, but he's running the F2 on Twitch rather than the BMR. Yep, both caught out by the same jammer as well. Not ideal.
No, really, as a Twitch, you've got to be careful with that. You know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Anaton,
at least you got the saying right when I messed it up last week.
I flew through that one, Des. It's just I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here, Des.
Is that a third drone in the same spot? I think it's yet another one has got itself jammed trying to get through the bar. This keeps on happening. 3 drones in one round.
You cannot give up that much utility to the same jammer. It's just...
No, we got the sound.
There we go. Medic's just feeding us the information. There's a bulletproof that we've not spotted, Des, and it's the EMP that's just causing the problem for the drones. It's disabling them. Of course, those bulletproof... The bulletproof cameras now have the EMP blast. Obviously, us not having sound doesn't help us to pick up on that. And it's, just making it very difficult for them to get those drones through there. But I'll remove my criticism of the Twitch sending the drones in now that they're back operational. Obviously, only disabled for a period of time by those EMPs. Going to be back moving, back wheeling around and trying to get rid of some of that utility inside of site. Slower from Cyclops this time and better from Reject, though.
I think it's composed because, again, they're losing drones, right? They're being blocked on the information game. And rather than just running blind and hope for the best, you are taking your time and playing things by the book. So 0 complaints on that side. But the clock doesn't care about your excuses or what you've got to do. You can find yourself going, oh, Take finds Suzu C, but they do manage to get Irrigator up, who was down inside of the lobby. Beautiful stuff.
That's going to be the opener this time for Reject. First time that we've seen that. Can they go on to get themselves around on the board? 30 seconds for Cyclops to disprove that theory and try and get something going here. But 3v4 is not going to be easy, and you can see the rush starting to come into Cyclops' movements. That was almost a freebie if Anaton looks the right way, but he was too focused on the centre of sight, and Candy takes full advantage, finding himself a sweet little kill there towards the end of the round. 10 seconds left to go, and here comes Cyclops. 2 versus 3. It's Gatorada, it's Irrigator, but this is not going to be easy. They need to try and get this diffuser down, and in a 1v2 there's just no chance. Gatorada goes for the gunfight, misses his shots, and Reject close out the round, and that's going to leave us now 2-1. Still the advantage to Cyclops, but Reject showing us that they can hold down those mid-level sites, and they've still got the basement to use yet.
Even in the 4 versus 2 though, do bleed out a couple of members there, Reject. It looked a bit dicey in the close, but that early drone denial work really coming out big for them, and Cyclops finally do fall on one of their attacks. Now, rather than going across to top floor, where they were last time flawless rounded, they're going back into Tellers and Archives once again, Tim. We spoke about the kind of 3-2 split, the 3 coming in through lobby, the 2 coming in through square, and how easy it was made to look for the side of Cyclops. I imagine here they'll have a bit more of an eye out for those potential mute jammers, for the bulletproofs coming through that are making it such a nightmare to collect information.
Absolutely, and I'm interested to see if Reject can slow Cyclops down again here. That was something that they did very well. We were 2 minutes in, they hadn't taken a death, they'd prevented Cyclops from getting too much control over the map, and it was much more sort of Reject's plan in action. You know, it was much more what they wanted to achieve from the first 2 rounds, but were unable to, and it worked very nicely. Reject, you've got that round out, you need to kick on from it. The big difference there, or one of the big defining factors in round 3, Des, Reject come in and they get that entry kill. There was a trade that followed not long after, but they still got it. And it was the first time they had it, it was the first round they won. What does that tell you? Reject, they need to be coming in here and trying to get strong in the beginning of the round.
Well, here we've got Anaton switching across to yet another operator. That's now 4 different operators that he's played in this first half. The KB, Sledge, Twitch, and now the Monty. Monty's kind of one of those operators that a little bit weaker now, of course, easier to stagger, therefore easier to kill, a bit like Clash. However, it's in a position where with the Monty, you can kind of forego droning. You don't need to be super safe when entering a room because you've got a massive shield in front of your face. So if they do feel maybe they're being blocked by mute jammers, by EMPs, for example, there are 2 bulletproofs for Reject once again, they can turn towards the Monty and use him as the ground maker for them to try and pick up on lost time.
Great value in those bulletproof cameras, of course. Not only the information they feed in, you can now, there used to be a fixed position where they'd just look forward in one direction. You can now move the lens on those cameras so you can have a little look around. They've got the EMP blast, just a lot more useful than they were originally loaded into the game, and becoming more popular because of it. But they still don't feel too oppressive. I know there was a little bit of concern when those changes were made, but they seem to have been pretty well balanced so far. They're certainly powerful in the right position, but they're not necessarily brought, every single round as many as you can of them. They're not overused to that degree. Tadaniki managing to get in and get that opener onto Suzuki. And let's see now, after getting that opener, can Reject keep that trend going where they get the round after it?
This is a classic Anaton moment, by the way. Just strong-arming his way right up White Corridor and looking to threaten these players that are playing up on the top floor, so there won't be any left on the site itself. That's kind of critical to their game plan, though. So he's responsible for forcing them to drop and get away, which they've already done here. Got to be careful of the floor, mind you, because Anaton getting dangerously close towards potentially being shot through the floor, or a C4 coming at him through the hatch. You name it. 2 kills coming out for CYCLOPS. They find the control of lobby they were looking for. Blackray taking a bit of damage, but not quite sure where from. Volt straight into the line of Window, who takes down Blackray. A 3 versus 3, and we're only got 45 seconds on the clock.
Going to be a good kill there from Reject to level things up. 3 versus 3, as you say. Nice and even coming into this final execution stage. Window, he's just going to hold himself onto that door for as long as he can. Candy's playing on the main stairs there, just locking down through the rotation that's opened up in the back wall. Going to make it very difficult, potentially, for Anaton to move in, because he's going to have one on either side of him here. Window, absolutely no idea that he was coming head-to-head with the Monty. He's going to get shut down by Gatorada, ultimately. But Diffuser is down cold. 15 seconds left to go. Candy's just going to play the smart game here. Steps out, gets the kill that's needed. Salty manages to find one as well, and all of a sudden it's left down to the Monty, and surely this is a no-go. Reject just playing it smart, going to try and drop away, find that final kill, and that's going to be round number 4 going to them. And after a shaky start, they manage to level things up. 2-2 now on the scoreboard.
That was interesting because CAG started really well. You had the pressure from Monty on the top floor, the 2 kills that came in around front desk, and it was like, great. This looks like the earlier round when you came pushing into this site and ended up with a flawless. But it just all started to drop off the kind of longer that round went on. The time running too low, not quite able to get everything done they wanted to. It is always the concern with the Monty on side, is it's a slow-moving operator. He's a chunky boy. It takes time to get into those key positions and force players away, and Anaton was very much acting as a solo operator up on the top floor. So whilst the team were waiting for him to do that, that clock was running down. And once you get to those last 20 seconds, that's when things fall apart, because CYCLOPS really thought they had it all worked out, but just weren't aware of Candy playing on main stairs down towards basement, and he absolutely puts a thorn in their side, gets the man who's going for the diffuser, and from there, well, Anaton is left in a 1 versus 2. No hope of walking away the winner.
We're heading up to the top floor for round number 5. So this changes the dynamic a little bit that we've seen so far. We've seen a bit of attention towards top floor, trying to have 1 or 2 roamers up there, clear them out. You're going to see less of that because, of course, now we're up on that top floor. There won't be as much of a presence here, I wouldn't expect, from Reject in and around the map as in the lower levels. They'll have somebody in stock, probably in elevators. They're going to have a couple inside a site, and it's going to give CYCLOPS potentially more time here to focus on the site itself rather than having to go and clear out all those roamers on multiple floors.
Looking at the change in the lineup as well, by the way, it's the first time we've seen a smoke getting brought along by Reject, probably again leaning in towards that denial-based play they're looking for in the round. Though am I also a similar story. We haven't seen that so far, so clearly fearful of grenades coming singing in, of which there are 4 on the side of CYCLOPS. So very much a different setup for this top floor for both teams in terms of what we're seeing coming along. Really, you want to be seeing those nades put in those pivotal positions. One, blowing out the castle barricades is the first step. I tell you what, Taranicki's trying to get cheeky here. I'm always nervous when it's a Wamai, because obviously he now has the ammo system with his gadget. You died too early. You're missing out on potentially 3 or 4 of those magnets, which are really valuable at catching those grenades I was just talking about.
Chipping away damage on Black Ray, but he's going to replace a lot of that with the nano boost into his system, along with his teammates. Ayagators managed to get himself established in stock there. He's actually going to give up the ground as the shots come raining in from the janitorial direction, but it is good progress from Cyclops. They're forcing those defenders back. There's nobody at elevators. There's nobody inside of stock. There are now 4 inside of sight. Salty is their lone hope for a flank here, as it's just going to be a complete turtle defense for the remainder of this round for Reject, other than the Jaeger. They're going to be able to work the windows, able to work lots of directions here, but this could be great movement. Cyclops feeling a little bit too safe, managed to dip away, keep the man alive, but they just don't seem to be dealing with the threat, Des.
They don't know that it's him either. Oh, no way does he get inside. He should not be getting away with that a second time. I don't think Cyclops realised that he was coming in through ATMs. Now they have the idea they're dropping away from those windows, but they're being so cautious. Salty must see the man, must see the second, but you missed the first man and go for the second. Gatorada with a snap reflex brings down Salty. Elsewhere, it's Candy onto Suzu C, and it's all coming up blue in the kill feed, Tim. It's 4 versus 2.
Good little passage of play, and I've got to say, I think Cyclops were a little bit lucky there. There was opportunities for Reject, both down in ATMs and at the bottom of Square Skylight, but they just couldn't hit the shots. They just couldn't make it pay. 3v2. Gatorada, Anaton, both low health, but so is Taranicki. And the big factor here, Des, is all of Cyclops are outside of the map still. 15 seconds left to go. They have no choice but to repel in. Here goes Taranicki. Can he get the first? Yes. Can he get the second? Yes. He can, and that now leaves us in a quick swing around 1v2. It's all up to Black Ray. Shut down. Beautiful final 20 seconds from Reject, atoning for previous sins with those missed shots earlier in the round, and that is going to be a fantastic 3rd in a row for them.
Oh, you just saw it lining up. When you see you got 2 players watching the windows and 3 players that need to get in through those windows, you know what the outcome is going to be. And for Reject, who got slammed in the first 2 rounds of this map, Tim, they're fighting back. That's 3 on the bounce for them now. They're up 3-2 on the defensive side. And they're not even doing anything overly special, I don't think. It's not like they're getting out on the map and getting all TDM about things and getting chaotic. They're just playing relatively static positions and winning their gunfights. It's as simple as that.
It is, absolutely. That was a big kill. That first opener from Taranicki there just really got them in a position whereby they could hold on. It was the one man who was inside of the map, the one man that could push from the opposite side. And as soon as that goes down and the realisation there is everybody's on the windows, both guns can train in that direction. And it is a nice, easy mop-up for Reject. So, great progress from them as they now take themselves into the lead for the first time in this matchup. And it was mentioned on the analyst desk before we came in, 2 recent games against Cyclops, both have been best of 3s, both have been won by Cyclops. So Reject here looking to just overcome the odds a little bit and looking to get their first points on the board. And I tell you what a steal that'd be in APAC North to have Reject rising up the ranks already.
I can't have it with Fresh as the only person that got this one right. I could not face it. I'll give it to the second half as well, because what we're seeing from some of these newer teams is attacking is where they're really struggling. And I think back to Reject's game against Damwon Kia. Outside of a couple of rounds when Salty picked up 3Ks or had an unbelievable 1v3 clutch as well, they didn't really have too much bite to them in that game. So I'm kind of concerned about how the second half might go, but that's why it's so pivotal to get rounds on the board. Salty considering C4ing off that Ace Selma. Don't know how well that would have gone for him, to be honest, because of course there are then 2 more Selmas that can come out as well.
I think that was probably part of the thought process when he thought, sometimes you get excited, you think I can clear this off, and then you realise, yep.
And then logic prevails.
Logic prevails. There's going to be another couple to follow that I can do absolutely nothing about. I'd be better off keeping hold of that utility. So that's going to be top floor cleared out for Cyclops. They can start pushing forward now, just looking to move a man in on the basement as well. So they're going to sandwich Cyclops, going to sandwich Reject here in between themselves, potentially on top and bottom floor. And could make it a little difficult for Reject to move around. But once again, Take is just able to sneak past the cams. I'm a little concerned about Cyclops' drawn in here. Last couple of rounds, we've seen a couple of opportunities for Reject where it appears that CYCLOPS are maybe a little bit unaware.
I'll go as far as disagreeing. I think their droning has been good, but it's because they've been so reliant on the droning that it slowed them down so much. Like, look at this here, right? We're down to 120, and yes, they've got control of top floor now because that was droned out, but iGator has been sort of stalled in the basement because he didn't have a drone. Blackray then committed one down towards helping him, but I don't think they've gone any further than that. What they're more afraid of is a potential flank up towards Square. Great shot from Salty, who just decimates the entry point in towards ATMs coming out of Aniton.
Absolute beauty from the mirror. iGator does find Take, so that answers that question. The information was there, and that clears out the basement, but it still leaves CYCLOPS with a lot of work to do. We're in the same position once again. 30 seconds almost. We're at 45. We're down to that final portion of the round, and there's still a lot of work to be done. But somehow Salty swings around the corner and beats his man. Gatorada's going to shut down Taraniki. 30 seconds left to go, and CYCLOPS, they suddenly hit the accelerator as they managed to get themselves 3 versus 1. Gatorada's putting that diffuser down. Salty coming up from the downstairs, but surely they're going to know of his position here. He's getting the red pings, he's getting the information. The nade comes out, they know where he's pushing from, and then it's Blackray once again who gets that final kill. At least a 3 for him on the round, maybe more. Better from CYCLOPS, and I think, as you said, Des, they're going to be happy going into their defensive half 3-3.
That was a bit more of a restored round, yeah. I think because they weren't so impeded when it came to their movements forward, right? We saw Basement were like, they're kind of held up. iGator was just watching for a drop through the hatch like we saw out the mirror. I think that he spotted the hatch was open and was like, right, my job is to make sure no one comes dropping through these hatches, that no one can flank us. And sure enough, once Salty did it, it was so close as well because they heard him drop just as iGator was about to push out of top blue, and the mirror player would have found the kill. Didn't respect the fact that the ace had already opened up the lower half of the wall where the mirror was, and it was a freebie coming through onto Candy. However, a 3-3 half, I think Reject will be very happy with that personally. This map has been quite attacker leaning since we've seen its introduction into the competitive map pool. So to be at 3-3 against one of your nemesis in CYCLOPS, Nemesi, one of the teams that you face off against quite a lot inside of the Japanese league, you'll take it to be 3-3. It does mean this could be quite a scary second half for either side based on how the first couple of rounds go.
I don't know if there is a plural of nemesis, Des. I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not Nemesi.
No, Nemesi sounds like the individual, doesn't it? Because he's my nemesis. He's my nemesis, you'd say, is the individual.
Yeah. Nemesis.
What if you have lots of nemesises? Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Nemesis. That's the one. I read that in the dictionary. Yeah, nemesis. Yeah.
Nemesis.
That's the one.
Right, 5 versus 5. We come into round 7. We're going to swap sides. CYCLOPS now on the defence, and I think that Reject could find themselves with a few problems here. As you said, Des, attack historically over the last couple of play days is where we've seen them struggle to quite get going, and CYCLOPS, they're going to try to lock things down. But as we both said, I don't think either team are going to be disappointed with that first half. As you say, Reject, attackers do tend to have quite often good little halves, and Reject will be confident in themselves to be able to do that, but CYCLOPS, I'm sure, will be confident that they can get it locked down as well. Now then, we've got iGator looking to challenge up on this square skylight for the time being, trying to hold on to that top floor. The site itself is all the way down in the basement, but CYCLOPS are super spread out here. They've got a 3-floor roam going on.
They do. I mean, this is classic CYCLOPS, right? Get out in the map, be disruptive. Normally it's Blackray sort of heading up the charge, the one that wants to be busy, but it's iGator. And I was about to say, does he miss the man? Where's
the
Window?
Man misses him and another as well!
Where are you even looking? iGator picking up a beautiful 2K on the top floor. That is going to take so much bite out of this team as well. You've lost the nades, you've lost the info coming out of Window, really stripping this round right back, and we've not even seen 90 seconds of play yet.
No clear view out of Window there, Des.
No, absolutely not.
That's number 3.
I know what you're going for, and I'm ignoring it.
That's number 3. So, CYCLOPS looking pretty good here. 4 versus 3. They've got themselves the advantage. They are able to continue playing in the map if they should choose. And there is 2 that are going to try to hold on to main floor for the time being. They're going for that open area hold, sort of extending vertically the site and just making it difficult for the attackers to get in there and to put any pressure on them below. Salty, he's going to clear out the bulletproof cam down in Garage. I'm not sure how aware of that rear-sided push CYCLOPS are here. Tadaniki manages to get one to level things up. 3 versus 3. Aniton is playing on the Garage side, so I wouldn't expect there to be too many surprises coming out of there. And the attacker push is coming towards server, though, so I think we're going to move to I was going to say fairly default, but there is still 2 over that rear side. Very spread out at the minute, Reject.
They know about Salty as well because the bulletproof was taken out. They've heard the smoke go off. They know what's going on, but that could be the bait because they are moving 2 players now over towards blue. Thermite Wall going to get itself opened up as well here by Tadaniki. So they've now got the opportunity to look at the plan. But the thing is, there's an Echo on side, Tim. It's still alive for Suzushi here, so keep a close eye on that one. You've also got a C4 that can come singing in from the mirror. They've got to find kills in this last 10 seconds.
With such little time to go, it makes it very difficult with an Echo on the board. Tadaniki looking to try and get that diffuser down, but it's kill after kill from Anaton to close out the round, and that is going to be a very solid defence and a bad omen for this Reject attack inside here, Des, because CYCLOPS looked super comfortable down there in the basement, regardless of where the pressure mounted, regardless of the trying to bait out Garage with the smokes and then rotate around. It just didn't do anything to take CYCLOPS' eye off the prize there, and they were able to get that one over the line. 4-3 now on the scoreboard, and if I'm a CYCLOPS fan looking at that first defensive round, I'm feeling pretty confident now about the remainder of this matchup.
I was going to comment on it in the first half, and we're finally seeing it being a thing here. The Valkyrie coming out as the go-to intel game. So on the side of Reject, they were running at least 2 bulletproofs across the rounds. That was their information game. On the side of CAG, they're only bringing the 1 in this round. It was the same in the prior round, but now they've also doubled down and brought the Valkyrie. So both sides leaning on this, at least 2 intel operators being brought along, whether it looks like secondary utility or their actual gadget, that's kind of beside the point. But they still want that information. So Anaton is going to run the Valk in this round.
Alligator up onto the top floor once again. Going to be playing probably a similar position to that we saw him in last time. Maybe slightly less aggressively this time. He was right out in that corridor, aggressing onto Square Skylight. Given that they're in open and staff, this time it's probably going to be a slightly deeper play inside of Janitor where we find him at the minute. And he's got his rotation out of there into meeting as well. So Alligator, plenty of options on the alibi. And we're going to have Anaton just deploying some cams over on the lobby side. So it says to me that CYCLOPS are ready not only for the top floor, but potentially pressuring lobby as well.
Yeah, it's just making sure they've got the approach covered, I think. Obviously, keeping an eye on lobby, keeping an eye on square. You just get the idea of, okay, they are starting to come now. We can start looking to deal with this. They're really the 2 sides that attackers will come from. You can get one coming up main stairs. Salty doing a push that I absolutely love doing in rank because no one expects the main stairs push. In this case, if he can get himself up towards that main stairs and look to put some pressure on the side, that cuts off the white corridor for the defenders and they won't be able to rotate back and forth as much. Or, sorry, the one coming in here from on the lobby side down towards the Bleepers corridor. If he gets there, we've seen so many big kills from here from defenders normally, but if Salty's holding that spot, the defenders might just get a little bit complacent.
Anaton's
just
unaware.
Like this.
Anaton's unaware here that Salty's managed to get himself onto that mezzanine level between basement and mid-floor. Tadaniki opens things up with a kill onto Suzuki, and he sees the man. Alligator's going to find Tadaniki, and the moment has passed potentially as Anaton moves away on the Valkyrie, but Candy finds Alligator on the top floor, and that should have been a freebie for Salty, but he misses his shots and then loses the fight. Salty, no!
What a whiff! You saw the gun, you saw half his body, you even stood there and brought out the Decavi call at the same time. That is just pain heaped on top of pain. It would have been a massive one for them because you'd have shut down Anaton, who's now holding down lobby and being an absolute nightmare and killing your team. It just goes to show one small mistake can cost you an entire round. Candy left in a 1 versus 3, shut down by Anaton. Think about how much different that round could have gone if Salty had found that first kill.
3k for Anaton, all from the same position.
Otherwise, this game is going to be over before you can have any other influence. Going then into round 9. Let's see what things change for them here, because there is definitely some work to be done. You've lost CCTV, you've lost open area, you're now going to the top floor, so Teller's Archives being dodged out by CYCLOPS. This is your chance to get yourself a win on the offside. The problem then being, you need to get 2 rounds, including at least 1, coming from one of already the sites that you've lost on quite comfortably. CYCLOPS winning those rounds by quite a clear margin, with 3 players being left alive. But we said this at the start of the map, Tim. These newer teams coming in, Fnatic who have changed roster, obviously Guts, not really an old roster. They've been in the league before already, but the attacking side has been a little bit weak for some of those teams, and Reject are probably put in that list as still finding their feet on attack.
Yeah, I think that's the reality. As you say, I think we talk about it in terms of new maps. We look at something like Skyscraper and we see that the attacks can be, at varying success levels at the minute, whilst teams get used to it. I think it's fair to apply that same logic to the new teams as well. Attack is the area, and I know that Reject aren't a brand new team. They've gone through the JPL, they find themselves here, but they're new at this level of constant competition. Jump out from Gatorada, and that's the sort of level of competition I'm talking about. It takes himself straight out of the window, manages to get window taken down. Little bit of irony there. Gatorada is going to be traded out, can't get himself back inside of the building. Maybe not the operator he would have chosen. Had he been able to get to Darnicki, for example, he would have said absolutely worthwhile. But still, taking that entry, opening things up, Sophia gone, a lot of utility goes with her, and it's not a terrible start. 4 versus 4.
Do you think it's interesting just to clock, by the way? Obviously, No Time isn't playing today. He's been playing with them for the last couple of play days as well. Obviously, trying to change some things around here. They are a 6-man roster. So he's been the tip of the player many have looked at and gone, he's the big experienced player that's going to guide these guys through. Maybe on attack here is where you're really going to start to see that slip if they can't get things together. But one beautiful thing about Attacker Repick Team I've got to touch on is the ability to flex in things like the IQ. You identify there is a Valcon side. Best way to deal with that? Always going to be an IQ.
Of course it is. We're going to see Ayagator just getting away with one there. He left his head just peeking up above the window frame, but Take was not able to take him down. Ayagator able to move away, just still control meeting as best as he can, and it allows Reject, though, the space to start moving in and taking out utility that is opposing them. Things like the castle barricades, making things difficult. But as you say, Take just exposing himself too much on the windows there, and Black Ray able to get aggressive, get right up to the window on the warden, use the MPX to its fullest and take down the Finker. That leaves us now 4 versus 3. There could be another opportunity to go out here. Black Ray, he's keen, Des, but the man's moving back. He might not need to, as he's going to move across that window potentially. Black Ray just going to bide his time, nice and patient.
I really feel like I should go for it. Just be that boy. Or just stay on site and kill everyone. That also works pretty well too. That's a 2k for the warden on side of site. Make it a third. There's only the one man left standing, and it's Candy on the windows. If there's any time you fancy it, my man, it's going to be now. They know that he's on the window. Will the call come through? He's lining up pretty close to it, but still tucked into that corner. Surely he goes down. Candy will find him, but it's still 3 more to go through in the space of 35 seconds.
They just need a double jump out.
Just
both of them at once, it's job done. There's no way that you fight back from it. Instead, Anaton, he's going to get himself down to the main lobby. He's going to find the kill up through those nice tall windows, and he's going to shut it down. Cyclops, they're taking full advantage of what can only be described as Reject falling apart a little bit here, Des.
Yeah.
They're being torn apart at the seams right now.
This is where you're seeing the difference between the two, right? I mean, look at Black Ray there. 2 kills on site, undroned the entire round. They had no idea where he was moving to, where he was going to challenge them, and that's the big difference. Say what you like about Cyclops in the first half. Yes, they were slow in rounds 3 to 5 when they lost out completely because they were relying on drones and information before trying to act, which might feel a bit strange because Cyclops again have been that team in the past that are hyper aggressive. They lean on Monty an awful lot to take ground without having to necessarily drone everything. So a bit of a change in style that you're seeing come out of them, and this is where you're starting to see that experience, that year or so now of playing at the top level, being able to adapt, being able to learn and develop against international teams at the 2 lands they've been to. I feel like you're starting to see that kind of blend into their play here because it's looking a lot more composed and coordinated than what we're used to seeing out of Cyclops.
Just seeing some of our wonderful share scheme skins at the bottom there. We've got some absolute beauties in the APAC region for you. The Cyclops Roni just showing itself off there. It's one of my personal favourites. I do love that one. I've got that one. And we've had a new batch come out as well, Des. We saw a lot of the...
So like collector cards now, is it?
Yeah, so there's the character, there's the operator cards for the teams.
Wasn't what I meant, but okay.
Okay.
I was referring to like collector cards, like collecting your shinies and I've got that one.
Yeah,
I've got that one as well.
Well, to be fair, I've pretty much got a complete
shiny one.
I've pretty much got a complete collection. I've bought most of them, but still, yeah, we've had a few new ones launched yesterday as well. Some absolute beauties in there. It must be said.
There are. What's your favourite?
It's difficult to call a favourite specifically. I do really like the BDS Mozzie.
Yeah,
the BDS
that's
Mozzie
in my top 3.
Is very nice. Full disclosure, they did give me a code for that one, but that's not why I'm saying it's one of my favourites.
Hashtag sponsored by BDS.
G2, I do like the Aruni G2.
Did they get it out for free as well, did they?
No, I didn't get the G2 one. There you go. I'm leveling the playing field. I do like the G2 Aruni. The SSG one was very nice as well. The SSG one.
I really like the Rogue one.
The Rogue one, the Twitch, yeah, for Rogue, very, very nice. It's absolute beauties come out. All of them are great. Like I say, all of them are top tier.
They are, mate.
Definitely worth a look.
Well, you've already seen that aggressive Echo drone being used here. The Yokai. Oh, come on, just spray a little bit more and Ganarada might be dead. But no, he tucks in, drops the hatch, and he's safe. However, his teammate not quite going to be as fortunate. Salty finding Anaton.
Nicky taking a lot of damage there, though, Des, and he's on the thermite, so they need to be very careful here. They've got no other hard breach option, and so must keep him alive. Absolutely essential for a server take. Ayagator, despite that entry death for Anaton, Ayagator is going to keep himself on the top floor for the time being. He's not making any moves to head back towards site. He's confident that he can get those kills out on the roam, and at 6-3, why not? He might as well keep himself up there.
It's a white stealing with a black drone on. Hello? Hello?
Ayagator, don't do this. Don't do this. There we go. He's managed to get the kill. It always makes me so nervous when they do that, Des, because you're just waiting for that movement, and when it's going to come is so unpredictable. And sometimes it just takes them away from the shot, but not this one. 4 versus 3, we found ourselves. CYCLOPS have managed to turn things around now, and that decision from Ayagator to keep himself up on the top floor has been a fantastic one. I just want to draw the attention towards the performance at this point. The trifecta of Ayagator, Anaton, and BlackRay. 33 kills between the three of them, and evenly matched, 11 apiece. 3 versus 3 now. Talking of evenly matched, Nicky manages to breach that wall, get in, start putting the diffuser down. He's going to have to back away, but BlackRay manages to find Candy with the Nitro. 3 versus 2 now, and it's looking good for CYCLOPS to close things out.
Still got another Yokai to go, though. This is the one that was sat up the hatch, and we're down to 20 seconds or so. They can do a lot here to provide assistance, but it's a Pokeball, and they capture Nicky. Down he goes. Take left in a 1 versus 2. CYCLOPS about ready to close this one out, and there it's going to be a comfortable last 4 rounds for CYCLOPS, showing what it's like to defend on bank, and Reject falling by the wayside.
CYCLOPS coming out with a solid performance there. Reject really looking like they had something to bring to the table in bank during that first half, keeping it level at 3-3, but then on the attack there